Okay, everybody, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to flush out the radiator. First thing you're going to need is a socket with an 8mm wrench, filter, oil pan, rag, and I recommend distilled water. The reason I recommend distilled water is you don't want to put hard water in there because hard water builds up calcium and that's not good for your engine. So we're going to use distilled water. I went ahead and got 2 gallons just in case I don't have enough. 1 gallon should be enough. Also, you'll need your antifreeze that you're going to use. And the reason I got Engine Ice is the best performance antifreeze for a motorcycle. So the first thing you want to do is take off your radiator cap, which I've already done, as you see here. And then we're going to release the bolt. Now the bolt is located right here. Antifreeze hose goes in. This is the bolt to release the fluid. So we're going to release that. As you can see, some of the old antifreeze is still in there. It will make a bit of a mess. See, with the radiator cap off, the water is going to really flow out. So make sure you don't use the bolt. Do not lose the bolt. We'll need it. Clean up any area that you have an overspill. Put the bolt back on. And tighten it back up. Give it a good snug so no fluid comes out. You want to make sure you don't overfill it. And distilled water we used. We put the cap on eventually. Even though the bike is still technically a part that should start. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to run the motor until the fan kicks on so it circulates the antifreeze. Okay, now whenever you go to release this, you want to make sure that it's not too hot. So I recommend getting some kind of rag, cloth, paper towel or something. We let it cool down for a good hour, but when the fluid comes out, it still might be warm, if not hot. And also, I didn't release the radiator cap. The radiator cap's just a little warm to touch, so we're going to release it. That will release the pressure, and there goes the fluid. Oops. Because you're going to have a mess. Okay, as you can see, even though I got the radiator cap down, it's off. So when we release it, see, it comes right out. So let's move our bucket. And it's coming out really nice and clean. That's what we want. There's a little bit of green in there, but not too much. Other than that, it's nice and warm, lukewarm. Again, I'm going to pull it right up. Now if you want, you can do this another round to make sure you get nothing but water coming out. And since we're putting a different type of antifreeze in there, we want to make sure we get nothing but water coming out. So we're probably going to do this again. Alright, we'll go ahead and put more water in there, run it again, let it cool down, drain it, and I'll be back whenever we get that done. We ran it until the fan kicked on, and I put my headlight housing on. So, as you can see, it's not completely on, but the plugs are in, the lights and everything work, but the radiator cap is going to be hard to get off. That's why I did it the other way before, but I decided to go ahead and put that back on. So we're going to drain the fluid again, move our bucket out. I got our cap on there, but cap. It's going to go everywhere. Okay. That's nothing but water. You just need to lift it up a little bit. Now that's clean. That's just water coming out. Make sure you get all of it out. Plug it up and put the antifreeze in. Blue stuff there. Okay, so what we done is we drained all the fluid. We got the water in here, and we got the plug back in. We got the filter on the radiator cap, and we're going to put engine ice into the bike, and we should have some left over since we already have some in the reservoir. Alright, so just to recap, just to let you guys know, when you drain your fluid, you want to make sure that you have the radiator cap off, or you're going to be watching it dripple. Also make sure that you have the right kind of antifreeze and distilled water. As you see, I only used very little distilled. I got some distilled water left in this jug. So you only need 1 gallon, you don't need 2. Make sure that the engine is cooled when you drain the fluid. When you put the distilled water in there, put it into the radiator cap. Don't overfill it. Put the radiator cap back on the motorcycle, tighten it down. Make sure it's on secure. Make sure this plug is back in secure and it's tight. Start the motorcycle. It's going to take a few minutes. It's going to have to get up to 200 RPM or 200 degrees Fahrenheit in heat on the dash. So when you start it up, make sure that you rev it up a little bit, so that way you won't be sitting there wasting time, because it's going to take 10 to 15 minutes for it to heat up to get the fan to kick on. But once the fan kicks on, shut off the bike, let it cool down. Do not attempt to drain the fluid while it is still hot. Wait overnight if you want to, next day, or whatever. Just let it cool down and then proceed to drain the fluid. You'll have to take the radiator cap off first to relieve the pressure, release the bolt, fluid will pour out, and then if you want to cycle it again with distilled water, plug things back up and put the water into the radiator after you plug this up, and then fill it up with water, seal the cap, start the engine, do it again. Again, you're going to have to wait for it to heat up, and then repeat the process. And then once you're done with all that, you got this nice and snug, which I already got. Radiator and filter's ready. Antifreeze is going to go in. And we're going to run it for a few minutes with this cycling through the system, but we don't have to wait for it to heat up or anything. So I'll check with you guys as soon as I get that stuff in there. Okay guys, I don't know if you could see that, but let me get the light in there right. Here, there we go. Yeah, I got the antifreeze in there. Barely see that it's blue, but it's in there. You can see that. Alright, so we filled up the antifreeze. And we used most of the jug. There's very little left in there. I might dump that in the rest of the reservoir. Alright, so anyway, we filled it up. So now we're going to put the radiator cap on and let the engine run a little bit. Yeah, make sure it's on there tight. So I got the housing back on. There's a few bolts down here. There's one right there. There's one there and one there. And that's it. And then the plug here, that gets unplugged. These stay. They don't get removed. Just this plug. So when you take the 3 bolts out and you release these, you gotta loosen this up and pull this out. So this part will come out. So just loosen that screw. This part comes out. Unplug these plugs, and the whole housing just comes off in one piece. Works out pretty good. Just give it a start. Got all of our lights work. Got it running. Things good. No lights on. It's all set and ready, so now we just gotta bleed the brakes and put the fairings back on. So that's it. Alright, that's how you flush out the radiator. Shut this off so you can hear me. Sorry. That's how you flush out the radiator on 2009 R6S. Alright, so if you like this video, please hit the like button, the thumbs up button. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I appreciate you guys watching this video.